Want to get the most powerful Amara build out there that's going to have you doing 2 million, 5 million damage with your build? Well, today I'm going to be showing you guys exactly what that build is. This is LaserBolt and welcome guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at this super duper OP Amara build. Like I said earlier in my previous statement, you're going to be doing 2 million, 5 million damage with this build, whether it be a boss, whether it be Slaughter Shaft, whether it be Circle of Slaughter. It doesn't matter where you go, you guys are going to be doing a ton of damage. Now, I have a similar build for Mo's that's like this one, so if you do not have an Amara, but you have a Mo's, don't worry guys, I'm putting out a Mo's build tomorrow, so you guys can definitely have that build ready. But this particular build is a little bit more damage. So my current build right now for Mo's does a lot of damage. This does at least 100 to 200 more damage than my Mo's build. Now, before I get started and show you the builds, I do want to remind you guys about our giveaway. We're giving away 2 free copies of Call of Duty Modern Warfare for the system of your choice. To enter and participate, it's super easy. All you gotta do is click the link down below where it says Join Bolt Nation, and you guys will be automatically entered. In addition to that, guys, we're having a massive giveaway very soon, and that's gonna be done live on stream. So if you guys would like to participate, follow us on any of our streaming platforms. We stream on Mixer, Facebook, and Twitch. So make sure you guys follow us there so you guys won't miss that giveaway. All right, now it's time for us to jump on our skill trees and filter out the 48 points and see where they're gonna go. So we're going to be dumping a couple points into Fist of the Elements. We're also going to be dumping a couple of points into Brawler and a couple points into Mystical Assault. This build kind of taps into the synergy of what allows us to do a lot of damage and also gives us a bit of survivability. But let's get started with the Fist of the Elements skill tree. So as you guys see right here, right now I have already 5 points into Anima. Now, technically speaking, I wouldn't have to dump 5 points in here because I would be perfectly fine if I just left it at 5 out of 5. But if you guys notice, I already have my status effect damage to a plus 20, and we are going to be doing a lot of status effect. And we have our action skill status effect damage to a plus 40. Now, we put a total of 5 points here that's going to boost me all the way up to 10. That's going to give me a major boost. And it's going to be very important because we are going to be using our action skills very frequently. And we are also going to be using our status effect damage and duration as well. Now, the interesting part about this, if you don't have the mod that I'm going to show you guys in this build, you could leave this with, just leave it with 5. If you do have this mod, you could kind of tinker around and play a little bit with different, different areas where you could probably deposit those 5 points if you don't believe Anima is that important to you guys. But for me personally, I find it that it's actually pretty good. Next up, guys, we're going to be dumping a total of 5 points into Tempest. And what Tempest is going to do is going to allow Amara to deal increased elemental damage, and shock damage is further increased. Now, shock damage is going to be playing a very pivotal part for this build because we are going to be kind of tapping into a little bit of shock damage. In addition to that, guys, we're also going to be dumping a total of 5 points into Wildfire. What this is going to do, it's going to allow Amara to apply a status effect to any enemy. And the cool thing is that when you apply this status effect, it's going to trickle down to other enemies, so it's going to spread. It has a spread chance of 40%. Really important for this build. And last but not least, guys, we are dumping 1 more point into Amara gains increased magazines with elemental damage, or elemental weapons, I should say. Now, the reason why we're going to be dumping 1 point into Deep Well and not anything else is because the weapons we're using are going to be benefiting from that extra magazine size. So we want to make sure we're constant with that as we progress. Next up, guys, we are going to go into the Brawl Tree. Now, for the Brawl Tree, we're just going to be picking up a couple of items here. We're going to be picking this one right here, which is Root to Rice. We're going to go and dump a total of 5 points here. This is just so we can have max health, and it gives us a little bit of survivability. Now, this particular build in general, it's not like a super tanky build where you're going to be like being able to survive everything. You might go down. I'm going to give you guys a warning. And sometimes the reason you might go down is because you put yourself down. Because, the weapons we're going to be using are... You have to be able to know how to play with it. You have to be able to know how to throw them and everything. But overall, in general, if you don't die by an enemy, you might down yourself. So it's always good to have a good amount of health. Next up, guys, we're going to do Arms Deal. We're going to do a total of 5 points here. And the reason why we're tapping into this one is because we want to increase our splash damage and our splash damage reduction. So it's going to be very important, like I said, when we throw our weapon's going to do splash damage, and sometimes that splash damage could trickle down to us, and anything that we could do to avoid that, but allow us to actually do even more damage to the enemy, it's going to be super productive. Next up, guys, we're going to do 1 point into Samsara. Now, the reason why we're dumping 1 point here is just we want to tap into that extra gun damage and that health regeneration. That is the main reason why we're trying to get a little bit of Samsara for us right here in this particular build. Alright, so now that we did the Brawler tree, we also did the Fist of the Element tree, it's time for us to head on over and do the Mystical Assault tree. Now, for the Mystical Assault tree, guys, of course, we're going to be getting a lot of stuff from the Mystical Assault tree. We're going to start off with this one right here, which is Do Harm. We're just going to do 1 point because we want to make sure we tap into this kill skill, basically. Whenever we kill someone, it's going to give us a stack of rush, really important. We're also going to be dumping 3 points into Fast Hand, which is going to increase our reload speed, weapon swap speed, and mode switch speed. Now, the reason why we're dumping 3 points into this one is because of the gear that we're using. It's tied in perfectly to giving us better reload. The faster our reload is, the better it's going to be. And allowing us to swap weapons back and forth is also going to be very fundamental to this particular build. Next up, guys, we're going to dump 1 point into Violent Tapestry. What this is going to do, it's going to apply a status effect and grant Amara a stack of rush. Once again, consuming those different stacks of rush, we got the Do Harm stack rush. And then we have the Violent Tapestry rush, which is going to give us effect chance. It's just the only reason we want to have this is because we want to have it in our arsenal. That's the only reason we're dumping 1 point there. But we are going to be dumping a total of 5 points into Alacrity. Now, the reason we're dumping 5 points here is because, once again, we want to increase our reload speed. You'll understand why reload speed is so important for this particular build once we take a look at the gear. Once you take a look at the gear, you're going to be like, all right, that makes perfect sense as to why that reload speed is so predominant and so important. Next up, guys, we are going to be dumping a total of 5 points into Restless. And what Restless is going to do, it's going to increase the action skill cooldown rate. So it's going to allow us to use our action skill a lot faster and more often. And it's going to be very important for us to be using our action skill very often, because that's going to give us extra bonus damage when we're using that action skill. You'll understand that, like I said, once I tie the whole gear together. And next up, guys, we're going to go into Laid Bare. We're going to be dumping a total of 3 points here. What this is going to do, it's going to give us a damage increase of plus 25%. So it's going to be very important, that we get that extra damage when our action skill is active. And the last 3 points, guys, we're jumping into Wrath. This is just to make sure we're getting extra gun damage and that our gun damage is increased even further after our action skill is used. This is going to be very important because knowing how to play with this build is going to be fundamental so you could output the most damage you can. Even without doing the right playstyle for this build, it's just super powerful. But when you do the actual playstyle, it's even more potent. Alright, so now that we already looked at all the skill tree built up together, now it's time for us to go and check out what weapons we are currently running for this particular build. So we are running the following weapons. The main primary weapon right here is the Redundant Face Puncher, and you want to make sure that this has an anointment that deals, when you do a melee damage, it applies terror. Now, after we get done explaining all the integral parts of this build, I'm going to explain different alternatives you could probably use if you don't have this anointment. The other anointment that you could probably have here, I'll explain a little bit later once you guys understand the synergy of this particular build. So this is the main one we're going to be doing. This is going to allow us to apply terror to ourselves. I'm pretty sure the majority of you guys already have a face puncher with this perk. And if you don't, I do want to remind you guys, if you guys see this complete build and you guys are probably missing either the shield or you're missing the grenade, the artifact, or anything that you're missing from what I currently have in my inventory, and you guys would like me to share this, let's get this video to 300 likes. If this video reaches 300 likes, on my Discord server, I will be uploading the file. In addition to that, we have multiple other files uploaded. So if you guys are looking for items that I've done in my builds, you guys are more than welcome to check it out. The link to the Discord channel is down below. But now, let's keep moving on with this build. So you're going to want this face puncher that's going to give you that melee. When you do that melee damage, it's going to apply that terror to yourself. And you're also going to want the Super Freezed Everblaster. Now, the Everblaster is a really powerful weapon. And what makes this weapon extremely powerful is the fact that this weapon is going to do a lot of damage after we face slam. So when we face slam, our weapon damage is going to be increased by 300%. Now, in addition to this 300%, remember, we're also tapping into the extra 20% that we're getting when we do our damage with our weapon, plus an extra 20% on top of that because we used our weapon after face slam. So we're looking at a 340% just by tapping into the ability and also tapping into the anointment here. So really important. Now, this one in particular is cryo damage. Now, I technically have a fire elemental damage radiation damage, I have a shock damage, and of course a toxic damage one. And these are all swappable depending on what type of content you're running. So for example, let's say you go into a modifier that says, you know, you have cryo damage, it's going to be nerfed down to 50%. It doesn't really matter because we are going to be getting a lot more cryo damage, as you guys will see right now once we check the rest of the gear. But you could always swap it with any of these weapons. Now, I don't like to run multiples just because we're going to be running out of ammo very fast because we're using double shotguns. But theoretically speaking, you'll be fine and dandy if you just keep going with the weapons and just, you know, open loot boxes and to get that ammo back. All right, so now let's talk about our shield. Now, for our shield, we're using the transformer, and this comes with the annoying part where it says, while terrified, gain increased damage and fire rate. The more terror you have, the higher the bonus. So the main reason we're doing this is because we already are getting a lot of damage from our weapon. Remember, after we use our face time, we're getting 340 damage. Now, in addition to that, if we are terrified, we are going to get even more damage because this anointment, it says, is going to increase our damage and our fire rate when we are terrified. So it's going to see how that synergy is working. We're stacking up damage on top damage on top damage on top of damage. So it's going to be very important. Now, this one right here, it could be swappable. If you feel like you're doing enough damage and you don't need that increased damage fire rate, I would look for a transformer that gives me a little bit like that would give me ammo. I think I have it right here. So you would look at transformer like this one. While terrified, gain ammo regeneration. The more terror you have, the higher the bonus. So if you feel like you're not, you know, this ain't really giving you that extra damage. For me personally, I do see a benefit of this, especially when you're doing bosses. You can theoretically swap this when you're doing Slaughterhouse or any sort of other content to the ammo one, and then transfer to the one that gives you more damage when you're doing a boss. But technically speaking, this is going to be like your max damage one. So you want to have the transformer. Now, as far as our class mod, I am using the Face Seeker. Now, you could go with two different types of, two types of different class mods here. Now, the one I have, the reason I'm using this one is because of this, guys. It gives me plus 25 weapon damage. So remember, we're getting the 340 right here. I'm getting an additional 25% more weapon damage on that. So that's going to bring me up to 365. And in addition to that, I am getting a 31 damage. So that's going to bring me up very, very close to 400 damage just from using my shotgun. Now, what makes this even better is that it's going to give me a plus 31 action skill cooldown rate, which is going to allow me to have my action skill even more often and allow me to proc that action skill, allowing me to stack up even more damage when I shoot my gun. So really, really important, the synergy. Now, like I said, this doesn't have to be the Face Seeker. You could also go with this one right here, which is the Nimbus. The reason I'm not using the Nimbus right now is because it does give me increased magazine size, and it does give me extra splash damage, which is really important. And it gives me a plus 30 grenade damage. But as you can see right here, the boost that it's giving me as far as my action skill is concerned, it's going to boost this one right here, which is going to increase the elemental damage, and shock damage is further increased. Now, I'm not running a shock damage weapon, so that's the reason I decided to go with this one here. But theoretically speaking, you could actually go with this one here, and that's going to give you even a major, major boost in damage, because you're going to be getting extra splash damage. You're going to get extra magazine size, which is important because our shotgun's going to have even more magazine size. But you could also see right here that when we go to our action skills, you're going to see that this goes and pushes us our elemental damage to a plus 60 and that shock damage to plus 40. Now, you could go with this one, or you could go with the one I showed you guys. I'm giving you guys two options. If you want to do a boss, I would go with this one. If you're doing Shadow Shaft, I would do the other one. So you could still play with either one, but the reason I like the other one is because it lets me use my action skill a little bit faster. All right, so next up, guys, we're going to take a look at our artifact. Now, for our artifact, I'm also going to give you guys options. We have this one right here, which is the Icebreaker Idol. Now, what this one does is give me a plus 40 magazine size. It's going to give me more bullets for my shotgun. In addition to that, remember, we're already getting extra bullets for our shotgun with a plus 24. We're also getting a plus 20 action skill cooldown rate. So with the other one, we were getting even more cooldown rate. And of course, it gives me cryo efficiency. Basically, what this is going to do, it's going to increase the damage against frozen targets, which is quite important as well. Now, theoretically speaking, you do not have to go with this one. You could also go with the Deathlist. Now, the thing with the Deathlist is it's going to theoretically give you a little bit more damage. The only problem that I have with the Deathlist is that I feel like if I tell you guys to use the Deathlist, you're going to be going down a lot and you're not going to like it. So if you do not have a problem with going down and, you know, just coming back to life, because basically what this build does is anything that you hit, it'll automatically insta die. All right, it's just going to die really, really fast. So you could go with the Deathlist, and if you go down, you know, just kill someone and you'll be back up. If you don't want to keep going down, then go with the idol. So once again, Deathless, if you feel like you're really OP and you're not going to be going down that much, and if you don't mind it, go with the Deathless. If you do mind it, you're either going to want to go with the Victory Rush or you're going to want to go with the idol. Whichever one it works well. I have really good ones for this particular build. I have a cryo bonus damage one and I have this one. So it's all going to be dependent on you if you guys don't mind going down as much. And the last thing to tie everything together and make it even more OP is we're going with the recurring hex. What this is going to do, it says, while terrified, deal plus 50 bonus cryo damage. So as you guys see right here, remember we have the almost 400 damage we're doing here with all our stuff going together. Even with this one, when we're terrified, we're even going to do even more damage with our cryo weapon because we have this anointment. While terrified, deal 50% bonus cryo damage, which makes this build super OP. You're going to be able to complete Shatter Shaft or any Circle of Slaughter in less than 15 minutes if you run this build accordingly and once you learn the playstyle. So with that said, how do you actually play with this build? What you're going to want to do is do the following thing. You're going to first go ahead, pull out your weapon, which is going to be your face puncher. You're going to shoot an enemy, apply that terror effect to yourself. Once that terror effect is applied, you're going to switch over to your weapon, the Ever Blaster. Now remember, you want to switch to your weapon first, and then you want to do your face slam. After you do your face slam, you're then going to want to reload and pretty much lob like the grenade gun, I would say, and that's going to do a massive amount of damage. Grave Ward is no joke. Any boss that comes your way, you're just going to be cracking up and laughing because all the major damage you're going to be outputting with this particular build. Now, I did forget to tell you guys exactly what action skill I was running or what was running. Of course, we are going to be running our face slam. We're going to be running that one. We were running shock because remember we're picking that extra shock damage that we're implying. Now you could change that over to incinerate as far as your element, and as far as the kind of like the augment we're running is Soul Slap. The reason why we're running Soul Slap is because since we're running the Deathless, you're going to want to make sure you're running something that gives you your health back. That's going to be very fundamental. You could theoretically even go, if you don't feel like the grenade, you know, it's beneficial to you with that extra crowd damage, you could always run a grenade that gives you heals when you are pretty much damaged. So if you're damaged, if you're applied terror to yourself, you're going to get extra heals. I don't have that grenade. If anybody, please guys, if any of you guys are on PC and have while terrified gain health regen, which is a recurring hex, please share with me. My Epic account is LaserBolt, or you can just hit me up on Discord. I would greatly appreciate it. And there you guys have it. That is how the build is done. That is how it plays out. Let me know what you guys think. If there's anything you guys would change or suggest, please let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget, if you want to get this build for freezies, let's get this video to 300 likes, and you guys will have that ready to download on our Discord server. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next video.